Okay, we're back again. So this is the company logical diagram that we reviewed in the exam and partly in the lecture, right? So there's a few things that we've got to be clear on. The first thing is to go through and check on all of the keys, right? So department has a composite key. It needs name and number. Project has a composite key. It needs name and number. Employee just has a single primary key, the social security number. Remember that this double diamond shape is an identifying relationship, and that means that this dependent weak entity, right, the double box, is identified by the key in the employee table, right? And the composite key for this weak entity is the combination of the social security number of the employee and the name of the dependent. Okay. Few other things to note about this diagram. Remember, we talked about total participation, right? That means the entity on one end of that double line has to be involved in the connected relationship, right? So a single line means it's only partial participation. So not every employee has a dependent, but every dependent must be related to an employee. Similarly, every project is worked on by an employee, and every employee works on a project. Every employee works for a department, and every department has an employee. Every department is managed by an employee, but not every employee manages a department. Okay? And similarly here, there's not total participation on either side of the supervision relation. Remember, supervision is a recursive relation. It refers to one employee in the employee table and links it to another employee in the employee table, either as supervisor or as supervisee. So the next thing to think about are the cardinalities, right? This is saying that every employee has one supervisor, but each supervisor can supervise many employees. This is saying that we only need to get one employee as the dependent, but each of those one employees can have multiple dependents. This is saying even though it's partial participation, each employee can work on many projects, and each project can have many employees working on it. Department is controlling a project, and each project, that seems a bit odd, can be spread across multiple departments. each employee works for one department, many employees can work for a single department, right? So many projects can be inside a department, but each project only has one department. That's what that's meaning. Okay, what else do we need to know here? So another thing we could have a look at is the multi-valued locations. And the thing that I was interested in here is each department could be in multiple locations, but each project also has a location. And to me, that's saying that we probably should have a locations table or a location table. And we can make sure that the project and the department use the same information for the location. What else? We've got the employee name, as I said earlier, is a composite attribute. And we have the number of employees. Remember, we can just use an aggregate count number and a group by department in order to count the number of employees in each department. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. The only other thing to say is some of these relations have attributes hanging off them, right? And I think I mentioned on the other one, on the university database, that when you've got one side of the relation has a 1 on it, you can probably just take that, in this case start date, on manager's relationship and put it on one or the other of the entities. If there's only one entity that's a 1, then you put it on that one. I would probably put the start date as an entity on the department, so call it manager start date, and then you'd also probably have manager SSN as a field in the department, rather than creating a separate managers table. However, works on has its hours, and the trouble here is both sides of the works on relation have greater multiplicity than one, right? They're both many relations. So that means that works on needs to be a separate table. Let's go with that one, right? So managers needs to be its own separate table. Because, sorry, not managers, works on, let's undo that. Works on needs to be its own separate table because of that many-to-many relationship. Okay. That's all I've got to say about the company database. I'll do another video for the university one shortly.